Hey y'all, TRG here, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be providing a detailed update on a massive blast of freezing cold air that will impact much of the United States 3 days before Christmas, and I will also talk about the potential of snowfall with that massive blast of freezing cold air. Let's go right on into today's video. We're going to start out here with your GFS 12Z model run provided by tropicaltidbits.com. We're using the precipitation type here. We're currently seeing an ice storm in portions of Iowa that has caused a lot of car crashes, as well as hundreds of people without power as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon. That ice will eventually transition right on into snowfall, and then overnight will bring a very light amount of flurries over portions of Wisconsin into Michigan. This system will then go into the mid-Atlantic area, where it may begin to start causing some freezing rain problems out here in areas of far western Virginia and far northwestern North Carolina. That could be impacting areas like Stewart as well as up towards Roanoke, Virginia. So if we go ahead and pull this on out further, this is our first large system here on our GFS model run, and it's just a bunch of rain, and it's not really going to bring that big of a blast behind it. So that's not going to be a crazy impactful system, but it may cause severe weather. We'll get into that towards the end of the video, but I really want to focus on, we're going to skip through a lot of this model run, this system right here, December 20th. December 20th is going to be when this system enters the US or Canada. Wherever this is on the 20th is going to depend greatly on if we see a snowstorm in the eastern side of the US. Currently, the 12Z GFS model run has a pretty good solution here. It is over, that low pressure is over Illinois. If that's the case, we will have a chance for snowfall in portions of North Carolina and Virginia on the 22nd. If it's more north in Canada, towards Canada, then we'll have little to no chance for snowfall in the eastern and southeastern portions of the US. But this GFS model run, if we pull it out, you'll see it brings just the tiniest bit of snowfall on the 22nd to portions of Virginia and North Carolina. Not a snowstorm, but just snow chances as we go into the 22nd. And that blast of cold air is going to bring potentially 20-degree temperatures, maybe even as far south as portions of southern Virginia. And much of the Northeast is going to be encompassed by teen temperatures going into the 21st of December. Now let's go to your Canadian model run. So this is the 12Z model run, once again provided by Tropical Tidbits, and it's similar to the GFS. You'll see that low pressure right around Illinois, Wisconsin, but it actually stays up there over the Great Lakes and dissipates over the Great Lakes. That still allows for a chance of snowfall in the eastern side of the US, but it's not nearly as good of a chance as what the GFS has. We end up with maybe a few flurries on this model run in like New York City on the 21st into the 22nd, but not nearly as good as the GFS model run, and we just end up getting that system out of here very quickly. However, we still get that big blast of cold air, bringing those freezing temps to a good chunk of the United States, potentially into the teens in much of the northeastern portions of the US. And I do want to show you the end of the CMC model run. It actually does bring a snow chance on Christmas Eve to portions of the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic. At this moment, I don't think that's going to be a possibility. Before we dive on into the rest of today's video, I ask that you guys hit that like button, share this video with your family, friends, social media, and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all so you know when I go live or upload a video. Let's go right back on into today's video. Here's the Icon model run 12Z once again with the precipitation type. We're going to just pull this all the way out to December 20th, and we're going to be looking for that low pressure. Here it is, going into Iowa, going into Wisconsin, a little bit more north than the GFS model run, but it doesn't dissipate over the Great Lakes. It continues into New York and actually brings quite a bit of snowfall in the New England states that are going to the 21st and the 22nd. And watch what happens. There's our energy. You could see it. See our energy? This is our trough ejection right in here. Watch that trough. You're going to see it swing up like this most likely on this particular run, and see if it makes a nor'easter, and it does. So you could see the Icon model run has a nor'easter for portions of the New England states. It's not as far south as the GFS, bringing snowfall towards like the Carolinas and Virginia, but it still shows snowfall potential going into the 21st and 22nd of December. Now let's take a look at the European model run, which is one of the more favored model runs in the weather community. We're going to pull this all the way back out to the 20th of December. There's our low pressure, and this one's north. I mean, this one is definitely north. This is over portions of Ontario here on the 20th of December, so I doubt this is going to show any snowstorm for like Virginia or North Carolina, and it's gone. Just a complete missed opportunity. You can see that massive blast of cold air, giant blast of cold air going into the 22nd of December, but our low pressure is all the way up here in Canada because it came in way too far north, so it just went like this instead of diving down south with that cold blast like this. So very big missed opportunity there on the European model run. Switching on over to your GFS ensembles, this time provided by College of DuPage, and we're going to be looking at the mid-Atlantic to the northeastern portions of the U.S. We're pulling this all the way out to the 20th of December here, and you can see one ensemble already has a nor'easter occurring here on the 20th going into the 21st of December. You can see the low pressure on every last one of these. Most of them have it pretty far north. Some of them are barely existent, but the majority of this has it over the Great Lakes, if not just barely to the south of the Great Lakes. And I'm very curious to see what happens here on the 22nd. So there's all your different ensembles, and you could see a lot of them bring snowfall to portions of the northeastern United States. Only a select few bring a snow chance to like North Carolina and Virginia, but it's still going to be a very real possibility. I mean, you could see almost all these ensembles bring snow to the northeast on the 21st into the 22nd, pretty much every last one of them. And there you go, ensemble 16, also that's right under my face cam. I'll move it really quick for you. You can see that brings snow to North Carolina and Virginia as well. So we're going to look at your ensemble accumulation for snowfall here, and look at that. We'll go a little bit more north here too. I mean, it's just snowland on pretty much all these ensembles except for maybe ensemble 4. That's like the only one that doesn't have a lot of snowfall. So just overall, a lot of snowfall on all of our ensembles. Going to pull this to the Midwest as well. You can see that Clipper. That's our system that's coming in on the 20th. Could bring some snow totals to the Great Lakes and maybe the northern Midwest, but I don't think it will be significant at the moment. That might be something we have to watch for, though, is some snowfall going into the 20th actually accumulating in states like, say, Michigan, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, northern Ohio, pulling that back down to the mid-Atlantic all the way through the end of it. And you can see quite a few of them do bring snowfall to Virginia and North Carolina. A lot of these bring at least a tracing of snowfall, especially to the higher elevations of North Carolina and Virginia. But look at that, quite a few ensembles. So it's all going to come down to the timing of this cold air. Back over to your 12Z GFS, this time provided by College of DuPage. I want to show you what goes wrong here on the 12Z model run. So you can see that low pressure obviously forms off the coastal areas of the Carolinas. That Clipper system pulling into the northwest, the cold air bringing in behind that. So nearly a perfect nor'easter setup, but something goes wrong here. If we pull it on out, that cold air doesn't pull in fast enough. So our main low pressure, our potential nor'easter maker here, actually slides up the eastern seaboard and pulls out to sea, which is a very unfortunate thing if you want snowfall out there in Virginia and North Carolina. So we don't get a big snowstorm on this particular model run, but we do see a secondary low pressure form right here. You can see that cold air divots down towards Georgia. That helps form a second low pressure thanks to that trough ejection, and that is what does fuel some flurries out here in Virginia and North Carolina on your GFS run. So it's all going to come down to the timing. I think there's going to be 3 big things. The first biggest thing, and probably the most important thing, is where this Clipper system goes. Where will this low be? Will it be over Illinois, which is really good, further south is better, or is it going to be over like Ontario? The next very important thing will be this low pressure here and how fast does it exit to the north and east. And then the last important thing will be how far south does our cold air divot, and does that cold air end up forming another low pressure. So I think there's going to be those 3 big key things that we're going to have to watch over the next couple of days as we keep a very, very close eye on these model runs to figure out if this is going to be a big snowstorm, just a few flurries, or maybe a big missed opportunity, because this is a decent setup. it just might end up being a big missed opportunity, just like we saw all of last year in 2023 in the Mid-Atlantic. Jumping back on over here to your GFS ensembles, we're going to talk about a white Christmas here, as well as looking at our snowstorm potential out there in the northeastern portions of the U.S. So pulling this all the way out to the 22nd, we're probably going to end up with a good chance for snowfall out here in the northeastern portions of the U.S., as well as on the far northern side and north central side of the U.S. as well. Going into the 23rd, we'll see if any other snow accumulates here. Remember, this is the mean accumulation, so that means it's the average snowfall between 20 different ensemble model runs compiled into one map. So this is for Christmas Day right here, and this is the amount of snowfall we're going to see across most of the U.S. between now and then. Now, there's a good chance a lot of that melts, so I would say our only real chance at a white Christmas is probably going to be in the far northeastern portions of the U.S., probably including Maine as well. I should draw that a little bit bigger, as well as at the far north central side of the U.S. I think those are going to be the two areas where we're going to have the best opportunity for a white Christmas. Even if we see a massive, I don't know, foot of snowfall out here in Virginia and North Carolina, it's probably going to end up melting over that 3-day time frame before we actually get to Christmas. Because if we get a big snowstorm, it will be on the 21st to the 22nd, and then that gives it the obviously the 23rd and the 24th to melt, and then by the time we get into Christmas, it's going to be warming up just a bit out there in Virginia and North Carolina. So even if we saw a big snowstorm here, I think the snowfall would most likely just melt before we actually get to Christmas Day, and we'll keep an eye on it, but I only think those two areas I've circled in black have a real opportunity to see a white Christmas here in 2024. Looking at your temperatures here on the GFS 12Z yet again, and we're going to be bringing this all the way out to the 20th of December, and my goodness, look at that wild blast of cold air. This is negative temperatures blasting in here on the 19th of December for portions of North Dakota and Minnesota. Just a wild blast of cold air there. There's your Clipper system right there over Iowa on the 20th of December. That helps bring in that freezing air behind it. Freezing air behind that Clipper system. You'll see that other low pressure right there. And I mean, just a very, very, very good setup for a snowstorm in the eastern portions of the U.S. on the 22nd of December. But our low pressure goes way too far out to sea. And just look at that. Sunday, December 22nd, we have freezing temperatures going all the way into portions of northeastern Oklahoma, maybe even down into Louisiana, possibly as far south as Mississippi and Alabama, across as well as all of the northeastern portions of the U.S. So a very, very brutal blast of cold air going into Sunday, and I really don't think it's going to amount with much snowfall. Probably going to see a good snow chance up there in the northeastern portion of the U.S. on the 22nd and 23rd, but in terms of like the Midwest or the Mid-Atlantic, it's probably going to be another missed opportunity, honestly, and that's very, very unfortunate because we've had like 2 or 3 good snowstorm chances, and they're just timed poorly. They're timed poorly. I mean, here's another opportunity where we have 20-degree temperatures in much of the mid-Atlantic and northeastern sides of the U.S., and our low-pressure system's way, way too far out to sea. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it, but right now this just looks like a brutal blast of cold air before Christmas, and probably a good chance for snowfall if you're in the far northeastern portions of the U.S. So let's talk about what's happening across the country right now. We have a massive low-pressure system that's bringing rainfall all the way from central Illinois down to San Antonio, Texas. This low-pressure system is currently bringing still ice storm conditions up here in portions of eastern and central Iowa. These flashing white warnings are ice storm warnings that have been issued for the next 3 hours. That goes until 5 p.m. Eastern time out here. Like I said, this ice will be transitioning into snowfall overnight tonight, so there's no more ice storm warnings going into Wisconsin, which is good news. But if you do live in this general vicinity here, please try your best best to stay off the roads tonight into tomorrow morning, as that ice is going to be freezing over tonight, and any rain that falls will also be trying to freeze over on those roads as well. So please try and stay off the roads if you are in these ice storm warned areas. These winter weather advisories, most of them are for very low totals of ice fall and or up to about an inch and a half of snowfall as you go into Wisconsin. So not much snowfall there, but definitely a much larger ice concern in Iowa. We do have winter storm warnings and watches out for portions of the high elevations in eastern West Virginia. We also have winter weather advisories out for the potential of ice out here west of my location in south central Virginia. That also goes into western North Carolina. Could see about a couple inches of snowfall, but the main concern is freezing rain as we go through your Sunday morning commute, so make sure you drive carefully out there. These winter weather advisories up here in northeastern Ohio into central Pennsylvania are also for the potential of freezing rain, so make sure you're driving carefully out in these locations as you go through your tomorrow morning commute as well. Going to your severe weather now, we don't have any marginal risks because our system is actually downtrended. It's going to be poorly timed with daytime heating, so this is going to end up being more of just rain and less of a severe weather chance, but we could end up still seeing a few thunderstorms. Now going on into why our severe weather threat is lower than I thought, we're going to go in and pull this all the way out to Monday morning. I want to show you that thunderstorms really aren't going to be thunderstorms. We could still see some heavy rain showers out of this. A tornado can't be completely tossed in the trash can, but I don't believe this is going to be any tornado producers or any type of severe weather threat going into Monday morning. And then the capping is just too strong Tuesday, so we won't be seeing much severe weather out of this system because that trough is so poorly timed. It just allows for minimal instability and a lot of capping to hold these thunderstorms down, and they just end up really being heavy rain shower producers, and that's it. Just quickly wanting to show you the CPC for the 19th through the 23rd. I want to show you this. Look, they have a pretty good chance for above average precipitation on the eastern coast of the U.S., and that is actually paired with below average temperatures, and if you include Maine, near normal temperatures. So definitely looking like the potential for some snow going into December 19th through the 23rd, but I just don't feel like it's going to be a snowstorm for anybody in the eastern portions of the U.S. Looking at your days 8 through 14 U.S. hazardous weather outlook for December 21st through the 27th, they have introduced a chance for much below normal temperatures for the 22nd and 23rd of December for portions of the deep south. If we look at their temperature outlook, though, they have introduced a risk for hazardous temperatures, and that risk is actually a moderate risk for the 22nd and 23rd for much of the deep south, and they've actually introduced two more slight risks in the northeastern portions of the U.S. as well as in the north central of the U.S. That is for the 21st through the 23rd time frame. Looking at precipitation, they have a chance for precipitation, heavy precipitation at that, for the 21st and 23rd in the Pacific Northwest. Snowfall, they've actually introduced three risks. One is out here in the Pacific Northwest. The other two is going to be related to our Clipper system that will be pushing through around the time frame of the 21st and 22nd. That's going to include portions of the Great Lakes regions as well as portions of the northeastern sides of the U.S. They also have a large area for a risk of high winds. That's probably going to be associated with a trough ejection that pulls across portions of the north central sides of the U.S., going through right around or just barely before the time frame of Christmas. Looking at the GFS model run here, 12Z, once again provided by Tropical Tidbits. We're looking at the western side of the United States because I want to look at that atmospheric river that the CPC outlined that risk for precipitation for, and you can see it right there on the 22nd of December. We get an atmospheric river that's going to bring very heavy rainfall to much of the northwestern sides of the United States, snowfall to the higher elevations as well, and pulling that through the 25th time frame. That risk for high winds is probably going to be due to this cold front right in here. Watch how sharply that cold front pulls through the north central side of the U.S. You can see it pulls in very quickly, so I imagine that's going to cause some gusty winds directly behind it from the 24th through probably very early on Christmas morning. So that's most likely the reasoning for that risk of high winds there. And then the GFS does its normal fantasy land thing and throws a snowstorm in the north central side of the U.S. a day after Christmas. That's fantasy land GFS. I would not be listening to that at this moment. One more thing to close out this video, I want to show you guys the watch warning and advisory display as of 2:54 p.m. Eastern time. You can see those advisories and winter storm warnings out for portions of the mid-Atlantic area, thanks to that freezing rain and very low snowfall accumulation possibility going into tomorrow. Also could see those ice storm warnings and winter weather advisories out there in portions of the north central United States. You can also see the watches, warnings, and advisories for an atmospheric river that is currently impacting California. That will continue into early tomorrow morning. A lot of winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings, and as well as some flood watches out there for portions of California. We also do have a winter storm watch and some winter weather advisories out there in Montana and North Dakota. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and share this channel and video with your family, friends, and on social media. It's greatly appreciated. Overall, I think we could end up with a snowstorm in the Northeast, but in terms of the Mid-Atlantic, I feel like it's going to be another missed opportunity. We'll just have to see what happens. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, stay safe, watch the snowfall, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.